Okay, and we are live. This is the ShrimpZoo and Adakin podcast, talking daily COVID, geopolitics, and whatever else may be on the menu for news in the day. Shrimp, how are you doing this evening, brother?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's good, man. So we got 2 killed last night in Kenosha in an apparent self-defense uh, of a man. It was I think it was white on white crime, as far as I could tell.
Would
I only
you
saw the video
you would call it
once.
self-defense though? You think?
I said it was apparent. I only saw the video once, and the quality was not very good. But have you seen the video yourself?
Yeah, I watched it multiple times. I don't know if I would call it self-defense, but there's not enough. The video starts like right at the shooting, and there's other videos from other angles from other people's phones, but they're too far down the street.
Would you
I don't
say
know
the
if
shooter is culpable of any crime?
you need more. I think we need more video evidence, but probably. It doesn't look like they were being. It doesn't look like they were under threat of being attacked. The people were kind of like going like this and like don't shoot and backing away.
Yeah, that is quite unfortunate.
But
And I mentioned, yeah, go
maybe
ahead,
he
Trent.
was attacked by the mob before the video started. You can't really see anything before that.
Yeah, I want to check it out some more. Definitely have a lot of people angry with the media about how they are reporting on it, unsurprisingly so. But it does seem to be, in my view, a divide and conquer tactic by racializing this yet again, which seems to be working, unfortunately. But I mentioned to you before the show that I'm actually debating going down to Kenosha this weekend to do some frontline work as far as documentation of what is going on down there. I'm still undecided. I am going to visit my grandparents, which is that direction from me. So it is an option, and it is something I'm strongly considering. That being said, you also mentioned before that we do have some more craziness going on in Portland as well.
Yeah, there has been pretty much the whole time since um, all these protests started. They've just been burning down different government buildings, and Antifa and the Proud Boys are starting to have pretty big street fights almost every night now.
Yeah, yeah.
In
Yeah,
my opinion, Proud Boys are becoming a problem just as much as Antifa, because their response to Antifa is the same as what Antifa is doing. It's
yeah.
becoming a problem.
I got an interesting question for you, Shrimp. At what point do you think violence by citizens of the United States is justifiable? And what
Vig-
circumstances would that be?
Proud Boys aren't really vigilantes because they're going out with weapons looking for a fight. They're looking to square off face to face with Antifa with homemade shields and bear mace and steel pipes and all that. They're not really. The Boogaloo Boys kind of are protecting buildings and stuff, but they claim to be pro Black Lives Matter. I don't know. I
Who
don't
are
think
the Boogaloo Boys? I've never heard of them.
Boogaloo Boys are. It's very tricky to describe them. I think the media would describe them as a mostly white alt right group determined to overthrow the government. And Boogaloo or Igloo terms that sound like that are used in code for to overthrow the government. So they support Black Lives Matter because that may lead to the government being overthrown. They wear Hawaiian shirts usually. Um, I don't know. I think Proud Boys is probably up there with the Boogaloo Boys and Antifa and some of the other groups because it's just causing chaos in the streets.
Yeah, and one thing I'm concerned about too is the fact that there are quite a lot of right-leaning people in Wisconsin, but it is, despite that, a battleground state, partly because of places like Madison and Milwaukee, who are almost always blue. So, my area and pretty much any area outside of those two cities are predominantly red, although in my particular neighborhood, as I mentioned, is mostly Joe Biden supporters that I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So it does seem like Wisconsin is ripe for the picking in the sense that it is a battleground state and a state where creating racial division and blue-red division would not be that difficult.
Yeah,
So
the Proud Boys are based mostly in Portland and the West Coast, in the Pacific Northwest. If they were to have branches in Wisconsin and stuff, maybe that could be a problem, but they're not organized very well like how Antifa is. I don't know. If there is like more of a right wing armed opposition to Black Lives Matter and Antifa and the rioting, that could be bad.
there was almost an immediate response, just a day or two after these riots/protests started in Kenosha, from apparent vigilantes who were basically anti-protesters or anti-rioters, which I found to be very interesting. It's almost like they were waiting for this to happen in a sense. And we had a comment from Schmetzel 1018 who thinks that they are paid. Perhaps they are paid on both sides. Who knows? We've talked before about the police involvement in Minneapolis and how
Yeah.
they had chills for sure.
I don't think anyone's paid. It's just you could see so many of Americans are pissed off.
Yeah,
I don't
no
think
doubt.
they really need to be paid. They have reasons.
Hmm.
They have enough reasons, I think. A lot of people have lost their jobs. They see the stock market skyrocketing. There's a lot of political divide.
Yeah, I want to go back to my question though. Do you think? I mean, when do you think violence against the government is justified? When would
Oh,
you say
against the
that?
government.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's being done right now. Is I think on a pretty large scale.
Do you think any of it is justified?
Um, yeah, I guess so because I'm not like a Black Lives Matter supporter, and I'm not an Antifa supporter. I'm not a Proud Boy supporter. I'm just kind of in the middle, watching everything happen. I kind of wish things would go back the way they were, even though they weren't perfect. And I'm not a huge fan of the police. Um, I guess it's justifiable. The police are never. They could. Donald Trump could end this with some speech where he goes up and makes an apology for the police and says there's going to be real change, and then they have like a huge change in the police system. They could probably end it with some speech like that and enact real change, but
It
it
certainly
won't
would
happen.
help a lot, I think, if he were to
It
say
won't
something.
happen.
Yeah, he's so cunning in the power game.
If he
Like,
addressed all the recent like police killings and stuff, I think it would help. But
yeah,
um,
I think he fears alienating the bootlickers.
I don't know. I could say it's justified, but at the same time, I really don't want that happen. I don't want what's happening um all over America. I don't want it to happen to my town. I don't want like my city hall to be burned down or my like local police station to be burned down. I don't want that to happen where I live. So it's
Yeah,
tough to say.
yeah.
People
It's
are definitely pissed in your state. It seems like a lot of people are pissed there. It's not a small minority. It seems like a lot of people are genuinely pissed.
hmm yeah. I think it was. This is the match that set the fire ablaze in this particular state, my home state, because we do have a lot of vehement anti-Trump people here, anti-Trump demographic. At the same time, we also have the opposite as well.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
pretty evenly divided.
yeah, and again, the election may be won or lost here in Wisconsin. So, but somebody mentioned that. Well, I guess Washington. Would you consider Washington to be a battleground state as well?
For the election,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be it's a liberal state, Washington State.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I saw somebody.
I used to live in Washington. I think that's why you see the riots happening in Washington, Portland, and
Mhm.
Washington's pretty liberal, in my opinion. But I
Yeah,
guess maybe if you go outside of Seattle, it's not.
yeah. I think maybe similar to Oregon in a way, but I don't think Oregon will be red this election. And it seems to me like the Midwest will be like Pennsylvania, Ohio, which again are often battleground states, and Wisconsin as well. Whereas New York will almost, as you said, certainly be blue. Texas will be red, of course. Et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know if the timing is such that they are focusing on the battleground states here because of that. I'm not really sure. There's a lot of cloak and dagger stuff going on. I think a lot of velvet glove maneuvering, and this cabal that I believe exists, and I think you do too, Shrimp. I do think they want Trump out of office. How they attempt to do that, I am not completely sure. Whether that's trying to implement NATO troops into big cities
In
to,
America,
with the effect possibly of
I doubt that would happen though.
enforcing that next step to the new world order that they want.
Yeah, I
Which,
don't think that will happen. Maybe
yeah,
I'm wrong, but I don't see
I
NATO
couldn't see
troops.
people tolerating that.
Maybe like a few in New York City. I don't know. I don't think
Yeah,
so, but
I don't know if I couldn't see people on either side tolerating much of
Trump
that.
Trump threatened that one law where he could deploy the United States military in the U.S. and people got pretty mad about that on both sides, and he backed off from that. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think that certainly would be a mistake if he were to do something like that. But as to like what would be the power motivation for not saying something? The only one I can think of is he doesn't want to alienate his Republican voters who are bootlickers, which are certainly
Yeah.
almost all Republicans.
I mean, it will happen if these riots spread, they continue to spread. We don't really know yet if this is a catalyst of like a bigger thing or it just simmers down and dies off in a week.
Yeah, because I mean, we saw this happen in Minneapolis, obviously with George Floyd. That's kind of where it started.
Yeah,
But we,
that was really bad though.
yeah, but we didn't necessarily see that in Seattle though, or Portland for that matter, for there to be riots in Kenosha. That was the
Yeah,
fire starter, right?
because it's such a different culture there. That's like the epicenter of Antifa. Like the Antifa capital is the Pacific Northwest. It's a different culture. They're much more liberal there.
Yeah, I was
They
talking
don't
to
really
somebody
need.
about it who
They
said
don't.
he
There's
almost
also
thinks it's
not
like not
many
even the United
not many
States
black
over there.
there either for those types of things to happen.
There's not what was it?
Many black people in Portland or Seattle for those types of incidents to happen. Not like on the East Coast or Middle America or California.
Yeah, I couldn't speak on the demographics, but I do know just for Wisconsin, the Southeast, which includes, of course, Kenosha, Racine, and Milwaukee, has the majority of Black Americans in
Oh,
Wisconsin.
oh, Kenosha does.
Well, I know they're close to Racine, and Racine does. They're generally the southeast. Those towns and cities they have a higher degree of blacks than
I've
certainly
never
Eau
even heard of
Claire.
it before all this happened.
Yeah, most people haven't. It's actually funny enough, very near Point Place in that '70s show. They mention Kenosha actually pretty
Do you
frequently.
do you think that his killing was justified, or do you think it was police brutality?
Uh, who is that?
The killing in Kenosha.
Oh, or he was paralyzed. You mean that guy,
Yeah,
the black guy?
yeah. I mean, paralyzed.
No, definitely not. Was he being compliant? No, it certainly didn't look like it. But I again don't know what the lead up to that was. But it's almost like a separate conversation of when can police put you under arrest, and it seems to me it's whenever the fuck they want. Regardless of what actually goes on, and definitely no, they did. I mean, he walked like strolled around from one side of his car to the next with his back to the police officers.
Yeah,
And you're telling me that's not a tactical advantage you could have exploited, such that you could tackle them to the ground or put them in a chokehold or whatever. I don't think beating him down would be necessary, even, let alone shooting him in the back 7 times.
I've seen some videos on YouTube. Like Steven Crowder said that it was justified and stuff.
Jesus fuck, dude. Excuse my French, people, but how do you look at that video and say it's justified? You've got to be a racist or a bootlegger to
Well,
wouldn't you say?
do you know who Steven Crowder is? Because he's made a bunch of videos
I,
recently that like say that it's all justified.
I've heard of him.
Because I think this guy has like um a lot of like previous charges and a warrant for him, so he's being vilified. You know.
That's another thing I don't like too. I was talking about this today with a young woman who's, I think, like a year or two younger than me, and she mentioned that too about George Floyd, how he was an addict and a felon or whatever. Okay, yeah, but that doesn't mean he deserves to be summarily executed, which is what happened to George Floyd. I'm talking about in particular. But even this dude too, and even if he killed somebody, right? Which I don't think he did, that I've read. Let's say he did, hypothetically. Say he killed somebody earlier in the day. We have, well, we're supposed to have a due process under the law in this country, in the United States. We do have the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. We have the Sixth Amendment. We have the Fifth Amendment. And the Fourth Amendment. A right to a trial before peers, a right to due process, and getting shot 7 times in the back when you haven't even seen a judge yet is not due process. So I don't know where the hell Steven Crowder is coming from. I mean, he might just be one of those guys that is trying to just do this type of shit for the views, really, to rile people up, similar to the way that Trump does, because he knows it's going to get a lot of clicks, right? He doesn't care what he says. He doesn't care about the damage it does, as long as he gets clicks on his YouTube page or whatever page he posted that from. I don't know where he broadcasted that from, but
On YouTube.
it was on YouTube. Okay, because I heard he got his YouTube deleted for a minute. I don't know his material that well. I know he's more
Maybe he
conservative,
does.
right?
I watch it. I watch his stuff once in a while to see what he's up to.
Yeah. Yeah, he is more right leaning though, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's definitely like right leaning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you don't have to be a bootlegger. You can still support Trump. I'm going to vote for Trump as of today, right? I haven't changed that for a couple months now. I haven't
Yeah,
changed
like
my mind on that.
I think Trump is probably better than Biden.
Yeah, yeah.
Biden is not the best Democrat. He's like the worst Democrat nominee you could choose. There's every other Democrat is like a better choice than Biden.
I think they're trying to sneak it in to get a woman as president. They're either going to take him out at the last minute or have him step down, like forcibly have him resign for health issues, right? Which may be real, may be imaginary, such that Harris takes the helm, right? She takes the reign, and you know, you could make the huge argument that the Clintons are behind all of it, right? I mean, they're still very powerful and borderline untouchable as far as anyone can tell. In our political system today, it's you know, it's quite unfortunate, and these dudes like Steven Crowder, who consider themselves intellectuals, uh, they just fail to control their emotions and see what is actually going on. You know, if that was, I don't know if he has children or if he has a brother he cares about or a cousin, but do you think he would be saying, do you think these bootlickers would be saying the same thing if that happened to their brother or their son?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they would say.
I have a hard time believing that they would. I mean, would they still be defending that deadly force usage if you know that was somebody they cared about? Like, oh yeah, it's totally justified for you to shoot 7 times into the back of my son. Yeah, that's totally justified. You never saw a judge. You never tackled him or tried to restrain him physically, such that you know.
Do you think there should be a riot over it though?
I mean, that's the kind of the head I'm coming to, man. Where it's like, what, you know,
It's pretty extreme what's happening there.
it is, but like, what do you do? What actionable thing do you do? I'm asking you. I don't know.
Well, they're burning police stations down and burning car
Besides that,
dealerships
we're
down.
talking about alternatives here, right? What actionable thing do you do such that that doesn't happen again?
That
Without,
the police violence doesn't happen again. I think a lot of people want to have police only from their own communities. That might help. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it almost seems like they're trying to get a reaction out of people. Like they're trying to put police in situations, or maybe police are cognizant of this themselves, where they're trying to get a rise out of people by just killing whoever, you know,
I
ideal
think,
victims,
yeah,
such that they have checker pasts, whether that's felony charges, pass arrests, you know, maybe they're drug addicts, whatever. It's a classic tactic. They use this when they're sexualizing and abusing children. They get them addicted to drugs, criminalize them, and you know, how is anybody going to believe someone who is making these accusations against powerful politicians when it comes to sex abuse when they are criminals and drug addicts? It's very hard for anyone to believe that, especially in this kind of society where we have, where, you know, in America, there is very little room nowadays, especially for second chances. Just look at our judicial system with felonies and the fact that you can't vote. Even if you don't have a felony in your prison, you can't vote, as far as I know. And this incentivizes political leaders to arrest dissidents for whatever. So I don't know. That's what I'm coming from with it, you know. But you know, I don't know. I don't want to think that having this ability to see intellectual nuance is a gift and a genetic, right? As opposed to something that can be actively honed and improved, even such that you can see the nuances, the good and the bad in both parts of the situation. Because you know, people do have this idea of black and white being opposites, and black and, you know, is similar to left and right, when in reality they aren't. And racializing it, and the media plays a large, they do a very good job of this, They, divide and conquer is their game, and they're doing it on behalf of these elites. I think these criminals who are in control. I don't know. What do you think about all that? But that's kind of I'll end my diatribe a little bit there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an elite, you can't get in any trouble, like the presidents or whatever. Or if you're a cop, you're pretty much untouchable. There's
This
so
one,
many
yeah.
videos of police like beating protesters. Sometimes they're women and stuff. And they're pretty much untouchable.
Yeah, I want to hear these bootlickers try to justify that. Like, why would you need to hit a woman who's unarmed? Even if she is hitting a police officer, she's not a threat. Like, there's only one Ronda Rousey. There's only so many Holly Holmes or Helms or whatever her name is. Even then, dude, like, I personally think I could take Ronda Rousey. If I don't go to the
What? No
ground,
way.
oh yeah,
Are you
dude.
serious?
Dude, if I don't go to the ground and I just do striking, I could definitely beat the shit out of Ronda Rousey, I would say.
I would put my money on Ronda Rousey.
Well, let's get it going. Let's do this. We got to
How tall are you?
contact Miss Rousey, who hasn't said shit about any of this, by the way. And that's the thing too about these celebrities, man. Like, and I was gonna ask you this too. This brought me to it. Something I was gonna say earlier about like people people that you like, staying silent on any of these things or anything that's going on. Publicly silent is what I mean, particularly with social media and such. What is your take on that? Do you condemn them? Do you excuse them? Somewhere in the middle?
Staying silent on all this?
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, a lot of times if you're a Republican, you have to stay silent on social media because you'll be kicked off of it. Or it's like not socially acceptable to be a mega supporter. I don't know. People can be. It's probably smartest to be silent on social media about this. I think it's gonna end up getting really bad.
What if
To other cities?
What if Night of the Long Knives happens in America? Don't you think everyone who is not is going to probably regret that?
Maybe.
Like maybe I should have said something. Nacht der langen Messer, or the Rome Purge. Night of the Long Knives. Also called Operation Nightfall. When the darkness drops, that's when they make their move. They show up at 3 a.m., take your weapons, take the men, incarcerate them.
That's already happened to me.
Round up the women and children. They came at 3 a.m.?
No, they came in the middle of the day and took my weapons.
Oh, really? I guess they were feeling a little lazy on that. You weren't that important that they came at 3 a.m.
Yeah. Well, I was thankful it wasn't 3 a.m.
Yeah. That's what's gonna, that's the possibility is that, they split up the men and women, incarcerate the men, maybe execute them, line them up, shoot them, and put all the women and children in the same area, right? And then what? And then all those people who didn't say anything on social media, like, dang, maybe if I said something or partook in this discussion.
You think that's where it's going to go? Like that?
I think it's a possibility, dude. I seriously do.
I think it's more of the government will maybe collapse and power will be more in local militias' hands instead of the police. We won't have like a highway patrol anymore, local police or sheriff's departments. We'll just have like federal police, and then all the towns and stuff in those cities will be controlled by militias, all the pizza shops and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean,
I think it's a dystopian future either way, though.
You think regardless of what's going on, it doesn't look good for the United States?
Yeah, I mean, look what's happening. The last few nights, they're like burning car dealerships down and hitting police in the head with bricks and they're burning different government and police buildings down. It's yeah, and the Proud Boys and Antifa are facing off with baseball bats and bear mace almost every night now, and it's spreading. Like you see this in Detroit, Chicago, Wisconsin, Oregon, Washington. It's spreading.
Yeah.
Did you think this was going to happen in your home state? Everything that's happening now. Did you think this was going to happen a few days ago? It's wild.
No, I didn't.
It's
But
happening
I don't know.
in the
Like
middle of
a guy like
nowhere.
George, a guy like George Webb is starting to look somewhat prescient. The only thing that's missing from his theory is these NATO troops, which he thinks are going to come in. Which I don't know. Like I said, my take is I don't think anyone's going to tolerate that. That's basically foreign troops on home soil. Regardless if they are some of them Americans. That's not. They're not bound by the Constitution, right? So I don't really see many people tolerating that, even if things do get really
The
bad.
National Guard is already there, right?
Yeah, I think it was
And
like
they're
a
not
couple hundred that
they're not stopping
Governor
it.
Evers or Governor Evers summoned. So, yeah, it's hard to say, but we're at 31 minutes now, Shrimp. So we are wrapping up here tonight, guys. Thanks everyone for tuning in, talking riots, protests. I actually may or may not. I'm still undecided. Be in Kenosha sometime this weekend or in the next few days. I'm gonna try to plan that out tonight. Go and subscribe to ShrimpZoo on YouTube. Check out his Patreon and Twitter. Those are in the description box below. We're doing this every single weekday, right around 8 Eastern time. And it's getting better every single episode, guys. So I really hope you enjoyed it. Got some new people contributing on the chat, so we definitely enjoyed that. One update that I forgot to mention: my main YouTube channel has received a strike, and I can't upload for a week now. So that is unfortunate. And Shrimp actually got one last week as well, but he got his ban lifted only a couple days later. So, so that was good. But it's looking like mine. My appeal got rejected almost immediately. So until then, it's going to be on this channel, on my Facebook, my Twitter, etc. So please tune in and then check out Shrimp's channel as well. So any final thoughts before we sign off today, Shrimp?
If you're looking to get a new car, I would get it tonight. The dealership still has them. And stay safe.
Definitely. Stay frosty, folks.
Crazy out there.
All the best from the Midwest and Buffalo, New York out east. Patriots alike in the U.S., Canada, and the U.K. We got to fight every night and every day. Cheers, and until next time, folks.